Act like you love me, please. The poor girl begged the CEO millionaire in front of her ex. Lia stood frozen in the glittering marble lobby of the Diamond Crown Hotel, clutching her worn-out canvas bag as if it could shield her from the storm that had just walked through the revolving doors. 2 weeks ago, she had started working here as a housekeeping assistant, trying desperately to rebuild her life after everything collapsed, after her mother's illness, after the debts, after the heartbreak that had gutted her. But nothing prepared her for seeing him. Arman, the man who once promised her the world, then threw her away like dust when she needed him most. He walked in with that same arrogant stride she remembered too well, a designer coat draped over his shoulders and a cruel smirk already forming the moment his eyes met hers. Beside him, clinging to his arm like a jeweled snake, was Liana, rich, perfect, glossy from head to toe. The woman he had left Lia for. The woman who had laughed the day Leah's world fell apart. Lia felt her throat tighten painfully, but she couldn't look away. She wished she hadn't worn the faded uniform today. She wished her hair wasn't frizzy from the long shift. She wished, for once, she didn't look like the girl people stepped over in life. "Oh," Arman said loudly, stopping right in front of her, eyes flicking over her uniform with mock shock, "You're still alive." Liana giggled, running a manicured finger along his shoulder. "Such a downgrade," she whispered, loud enough for Lia to hear. Heat burned behind Leah's eyes, humiliation crushing her chest. She wanted to run, to disappear, but her feet stayed rooted to the floor as if shame had nailed her in place. And then, a shadow fell beside her. A tall, broad figure in an immaculately tailored black suit. Everyone in the lobby stiffened instantly. Because this was Damien Arden, the CEO of Arden International, owner of the hotel chain, a billionaire who rarely appeared in public spaces without a purpose. His presence felt like cold fire, sharp, quiet, powerful. Lia didn't dare look up, but she felt him glance at her, not with judgment, but something sharper, something that noticed the tremor in her hands. Arman chuckled, completely unaware of who stood behind her. "Honestly, Lia," he said, stepping closer, "I always knew you'd end up cleaning floors somewhere. You were never meant for anything better." Liana leaned into him with a mocking pout. "Some people are just born insignificant." Something inside Lia snapped. Years of struggle, nights of hunger, humiliation, loneliness, all of it pressed against her ribs until she couldn't breathe. She felt her voice trembling before she even understood her own words. She turned slightly, not toward Arman, but toward the powerful presence behind her, and whispered, so quietly she wasn't sure it was real, "Please, act like you love me." The words tumbled out raw, desperate, painful. She expected silence, laughter, rejection, anything. Instead, Damien moved. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped forward, placing a steady hand on the small of her back as if he had done it 1,000 times. The lobby gasped. Arman's smirk disappeared. Liana's eyes widened into disbelief. Damien's voice, low and calm, vibrated through her bones. "Why would I need to act?" Leah's heart stopped. The entire lobby froze. Arman sputtered, What? You're with him." Damien's hand tightened protectively around Leah's waist. "She's with me," he said simply, but the weight in his voice felt like thunder. "Is there a problem?" The world spun. Lia couldn't breathe. But not from fear. From shock. From warmth. From the impossible way he stood between her and the past she thought she'd never escape. Arman flushed with rage and humiliation. "You always wanted attention, Lia," he spat. Pathetic as ever. Damien stepped closer, his eyes turning cold steel. "Speak to her like that again," he murmured, "and you won't step foot in any building I own." Liana tugged on Arman's arm, panicked now. "Let's go," she hissed, "before you embarrass yourself even more." Arman glared, but his ego was no match for Damien Arden. They stormed out, leaving Lia trembling in silence. When they disappeared, Damien finally turned to her. His expression softened from ice to something dangerously gentle. "You're safe now," he said quietly. "But why did you ask me to pretend?" Lia felt tears gather, her voice barely holding together. "Because he ruined everything in my life. And I just wanted to feel like I wasn't worthless. Even for a moment." Damien studied her for a long, unreadable second. Then he whispered, "You're worth more than he could ever comprehend." And as she stood there, stunned, she realized one terrifying truth. He hadn't been pretending at all. Damien escorted Lia through the quiet hallways of the hotel, walking at her pace, never rushing her, as though the entire billion-dollar world he ruled could wait for her trembling steps. Her emotions churned inside her: humiliation, gratitude, confusion, fear, everything tangled so tightly she could barely breathe. She stole a glance at him, at the man who had stepped into her disaster without hesitation, and wondered why someone like him would even care. When they reached the private executive lounge, he gently opened the door and motioned for her to enter. "Sit," he said softly, not as a command but as concern, as if he feared she might collapse. Lia sat on the velvet couch, fingers twisting in her lap. Damien lowered himself into the seat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance yet close enough for her to feel the steady calm radiating from him. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was strangely gentle. Finally, Damien said, "Tell me what he did to you." Lia stiffened. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." She swallowed hard. "He left me when my mother got sick. I worked 3 jobs. I begged him to stay, to help. He told me I was becoming a burden." Damien's jaw tightened. "He threw you away when you were vulnerable." Lia nodded weakly. "And when she died, I had no one. I lost our home. I slept at the bus station for 2 nights before I found work here." Something shattered in Damien's expression, a flicker of fury mixed with something painfully human. "And he dared to speak to you like that today," he muttered. Lia shook her head. "I shouldn't have asked you to pretend. I'm sorry. I broke. I didn't want him to see me as nothing." Damien turned fully toward her, eyes burning with a quiet intensity. "You are not nothing. Don't ever repeat that." She blinked, stunned by the conviction in his voice. "You have strength most people with money will never possess," he continued. "You survived things that would have crushed them." Lia felt tears slipping down her cheeks. She quickly wiped them away, embarrassed, but Damien's hand stopped hers, warm, steady, grounding. "Cry if you need to," he whispered. "You don't have to be strong with me." She didn't know why, but those simple words broke the dam. She cried, silently, painfully, and Damien sat beside her, never looking away, never flinching from her brokenness. When she finally quieted, he spoke again. "Lia, earlier, when you asked me to act like I loved you," she flushed scarlet. "Please forget I said that." "I can't," he said, voice low. "Because I didn't feel like I was acting." Her breath hitched. The world seemed to tilt. What do you mean?" Damien exhaled, running a hand through his hair, for the first time looking almost vulnerable. "From the moment I first saw you in this hotel, picking up a broken tray someone else dropped, and apologizing for it, I thought, this girl deserves the world, and she has no idea." Lia stared at him, unable to speak. "I noticed the kindness," he continued. "The way you smiled at guests even after long shifts. The way you never complained. The way you kept hope alive even when life tried to destroy you." He leaned closer. "Armand didn't break you. He just failed to see your worth." Her heart slammed against her ribs. "Damien, I don't want to pretend," he said softly. "If you'll let me, I want to show you what real love is supposed to feel like." A trembling breath escaped her. "But I'm poor. I'm nobody." Damien shook his head slowly. "You're the only person who's ever made me feel human." Silence rippled between them, deep, fragile, electric. Then, gently, he lifted her hand and pressed it to his chest. His heartbeat thundered under her palm. Let me protect you, he whispered. Let me give you the life you always deserved. Lia felt warmth bloom inside her. Hope, fragile yet alive. For the first time since her mother died, the world didn't feel like a dark tunnel. It felt like it was opening. She nodded, small, scared, but real. Damien's entire expression softened. Good, he said, voice thick with emotion. Because I'm not letting you face anything alone again. And somewhere deep inside, Lia realized that the moment she begged someone to love her, fate brought her the one man who wouldn't just pretend. He would fight for her, cherish her, and change her life forever. And as their fingers intertwined, she knew, the story was only beginning. If you enjoyed this story and want more emotional, cinematic scripts like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more powerful stories to life.